They packed her trunk with folded dresses, neatly tied ribbons and letters she had not written, sealing her fate with the sound of buckles snapping shut. For she was to be sent across the desert to a man she had never met, a man whose name was only ink on parchment and whose promises were not her own. Yet as the wagon rattled away from the small town where she had grown up, she felt her chest tighten, not just with fear, but with the weight of her silence. For no one had asked if she wanted this life, this marriage, this surrender of her heart, until the day the wagon broke down near a lonely stretch of land where a cowboy was mending a fence, his hat tilted against the sun, and his eyes carrying the kind of steady strength that came from a life of honest work and wide horizons. And when he saw her stepping down from the wagon, her hands trembling as she held the handle of her trunk, he asked where she was headed. And when she told him, her voice low with shame, that her family had promised her to a stranger, his jaw tightened, but his voice was gentle as he said, "Ma'am, no one should be given away like a parcel. Not when your heart is worth more than all the land a man could own." And though the driver urged her to climb back in, something in the cowboy's tone rooted her to the earth. As if she had finally been seen for the first time, they talked by the roadside, the prairie wind tossing her hair and carrying away the sound of her fears. And he told her of his life, how he had built his ranch from nothing but calloused hands and long nights under the stars, how he believed a woman's yes should be her own, earned and not taken, and she listened, her heart aching with both longing and confusion, for she was bound by duty but tempted by freedom. And when the driver shouted again, the cowboy looked her straight in the eye and said words she would never forget. "Let me earn your yes instead." Those words struck her soul like thunder rolling across the plains, because in them she heard not just a man's desire, but a promise of respect, of patience, of love that did not demand but waited to be chosen. Still, she returned to the wagon, torn by family obligation, but the cowboy's presence lingered in her thoughts through every mile, every cold night when the stars looked like prison bars overhead, until at last she reached the town where the stranger lived. And when he greeted her with perfumed hands and a shallow smile, she knew in her bones she was no more than a name to him, a duty fulfilled, and her heart broke with the weight of it. Yet even in that moment, she remembered the cowboy's eyes, steady and unyielding, and she knew she could not give her yes to a man who had never asked for her heart. She left in the night, carrying nothing but her trunk and her hope, walking back along the lonely road that stretched like eternity across the desert. And though the journey nearly took her strength, though her shoes wore thin and her hands blistered from the burden, she walked until the land she remembered came into view, the fence posts, the worn hat against the sky. And there he was, waiting as if he had known she would find her way back, his expression neither surprised nor triumphant, but simply open, as if her choice was all that mattered. And when she set her trunk down in the dust and met his gaze, she finally spoke the words she had held back all her life. "You have my yes?" And in that moment, the world seemed to open. The horizon no longer a boundary, but a promise, and she felt free. Not because he had saved her, but because he had given her the chance to choose. From that day forward, she was no longer a parcel passed along, no longer a name in someone else's agreement, but a partner in a life they built together, her voice equal to his, her dreams woven with his, the land bearing witness to their love. And every sunset reminded her of the moment she dared to take back her life. And so, dear listener, let this story remind you that love is not meant to be commanded, but cherished, not forced, but chosen. And if you believe in stories of courage, of freedom, and of finding true love where least expected, make sure you subscribe to this channel, so you never miss another tale that touches the heart and lights the spirit, because the journey of stories has only just begun.